All right, hello and welcome to the second session of our three-part online SEO course. We covered a lot of information last time. We're going to cover again a lot of information in today's session. So let's dive right into the second session here. Last week, we covered, we did introduction to SEO, talked about the fundamentals and the Google algorithm, how things are changing on a daily basis, basically. We covered a process and project templates, spoke about the importance of buyer personas. Then we talked about on-page optimization, anything you can do on the website, starting with keyword research from scratch, low-hanging fruit keyword research. We're going to talk more about that when we talk about these micro-SEO strategies. Then we also covered keyword mapping and meta tags. Meta tags, super important, and I'll show an example of how to create meta tags when we talk about micro SEO strategies. And then I hope you guys had a chance to set up a project in SE ranking. Are there any questions that we can answer from last time, from last session? Otherwise, we're gonna dive right into today's sessions, where we first gonna cover technical SEO, technical search engine optimization, an extremely important part of the overall SEO project. We're going to take a look at how to run a technical audit using SE ranking and other tools. And then Daniel, you're going to share, a real customer example, how, we get organized and how we then fix technical things. Obviously, we do have a team, a technical SEO team that helps us there. So we are dangerous enough to intelligently talk about it. Do we know everything technically? No.
Correct.
Right. But we have a team that helps our clients. All right. Daniel, pillar one of the 5 pillars of SEO strategy, the technical aspects of SEO. How important is that in the big scheme of things?
Yeah, so it's important to the point where we consider it the foundation of any SEO work that we're going to be doing. And what I mean by that is, unless the foundation of a building is really, really solid, there's no way that we're able to build on top of that foundation. And that's what technical is. And what I mean by that is, if the website has technical issues that don't get addressed, it doesn't matter what we're doing for micro-strategies. It doesn't matter what we're doing for content. All of the things that we're talking about are not going to get as much traction as it could unless that foundation is really solid. And what I mean by that is really looking at the technical aspect of the website. What needs to be fixed, making sure it's all fixed, making sure that Google's looking at the website and saying, all right, this is a sound and solid website, providing users with a great user experience. And then that's how they then start ranking you more for all of the other activities that we do. So that's why the technical aspect, which we're going to go over in more detail, is so important.
All right. All right, so we're going to take a look at how to run technical audit using SE ranking. Then I'll also quickly show you guys how to use Page Speed Insights. That's a free Google tool that anybody should take advantage of. And then also very important, Google Search Console. Again, I mentioned that in the first session. If you don't already have access to this tool, make sure set it up for your website. You're communicating directly with Google. You're getting information directly from Google. All right, so let's, and then last but not least, I'll share with you in our SEO training template, the SEO Project Worksheets. There's a nice little summary page with links to these tools that we're going to use here. So I want to first take a look at SE ranking. So if you have set up a project in SE ranking, simply, come over here to your projects, click on website audit overview. We already prepared that. Daniel, what do we see here? Basically, this is the summary dashboard where the tool is telling us, hey, we crawled X amount of pages on your website. And then, by the way, for full disclosure, the Chris Ralph website, I don't think we've touched in a long time. So just want to explain why you're seeing such a low score here. And it's, it's actually a good example, right? You don't do SEO for a while, or you don't pay attention to your website, this score will go down. And we definitely seen, a tremendous decrease in organic search traffic and leads from that website. Simply, we've been so busy helping our clients and doing SEO for the Boulder SEO marketing website.
Yeah, one really cool piece of information that we use a lot here under this health score that you see right here. We just ran this now, so it says 51 out of 100. But this line chart below is really important because over time, as you start addressing some of these issues, or if you have a developer working on some of these issues, you can see the improvement of how quickly you're addressing these and how much higher your health score is in comparison to when you start. So that's a great way to track progress.
All right, awesome. Then they have a nice top issue section here. You can click into this view all, right? There's issues with images, no inbound links, mixed content, all kinds of stuff, right? So just click around. I do recommend, if you haven't already, set up a audit for your website and then just click around, right? Also here, domain expiration. Ideally, don't let your domain go down below 2 years. Google doesn't like that in general. You have a nice little overview here on, backlinks, referring domains, etc. Pages indexed versus non-indexed, and I'll talk about that in a second. So there's a lot of really valuable information. The website audit section on SE ranking has a lot of information. We're not going to cover everything in this training. Do your homework, right? Set up a project and then just click around, figure out what's going on with your website. And then obviously, like Daniel and I were dangerous enough to know a lot about technical SEO issues, but we're not the expert. I mean, you're probably more the expert than I am.
Yeah.
But this is foundational SEO stuff. You just need somebody who can get that stuff fixed, and you will see an improvement.
Yeah, and there's one quick tip here that I'm going to give you as well, because when you generate this, it could be overwhelming. It could be that there's a lot of stuff there and you don't know where to start. So what I do is anytime I generate a report, I go to download report, and here you'll see that there are errors, warnings, and notices. And what I would recommend is uncheck warnings and notices, because what you really want to do is make sure that you're taking care of the errors, right? So that's going to just download a report with all of the errors in one place. That is the must list of things that you need to address. Once the errors are taken care of and you say, okay, now we want to go into a next level of tech audit fixes, then you can start working on warnings and notices. But again, to make this kind of list less overwhelming, really focus on the errors first.
Awesome. All right, let me see a couple of questions in the chat here. What is ballpark pricing for the SE ranking service? So that's a tool. I think it's 80 or $100 per month. Yeah, so just if you'd like to use them, sign up after the initial free trial is over. I'll include a link to the month-long free trial again in our follow-up email. Then let me see, Felicia, what is a good health score? That's a good question. Ideally, you want to be in the 90 to 100% section. This actually takes me to Page Speed Insights. Awesome tool. So just run your website through this tool. You get data information directly from Google. So this is where, Felicia, this is where you want to be, 90 to 100%. You know, you're definitely going to benefit. Your website will benefit if you can get into that section. This is why at Project Begin, when we start to work with a customer, we try to get them to that score as soon as possible, because anything else that we're going to do on top, you know, once we get to on-page optimization, etc., it has a bigger impact than if we're in the, you know, down in the red or orange zone here. Yeah, so run your tool, your website to SE ranking or page speed insights. Then even page speed insights gives you a ton of information, right? I don't know what everything is, right? But for example, reduce unused cascade style sheets. Just click on this little arrow over here. Google will usually give you an explanation what it is and potentially how to fix the issues. Again, you're probably going to need somebody more technical. I have no interest in, you know, fixing any technical issues. We have a team that does that. What's important is that you, as the website owner, you have access to these tools, that you know that there are issues and that you can get these issues addressed. Okay.
And just a quick note on that too, the health score for SE ranking is a health score that takes a lot of things in consideration, including the speed, which you're looking at now. Yeah. That speed insight is just the speed of the website itself. Different platforms will allow you to do different things. If you're on a WordPress website, we can probably get that speed up to somewhere between the 95 to 100. If you're on a Shopify site, because it's a hosted platform, there's a lot less that we can do because it's really part of the kind of black box of Shopify software. Most of the Shopify sites that we work with, it's just simply impossible to get the speed up to 90, you know. So depending on what platform you're working with and what server you're working with, there's limitations to how far you can actually move up the health score. That's why we really recommend using WordPress, because WordPress is one of those platforms that gives our developers so much control that they can tweak things to get that health score, you know, to the 90s and above.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the third tool that I mentioned, Google Search Console. If you head over to coverage, you will get information directly from Google if there are, you know, any kind of big-ish errors, you know, valid with warnings, excluded, etc. We're going to take a look at the information here, the excluded, during when we talk about Micro-SEO strategies. But basically, the coverage under indexing section, extremely important, and I do recommend get very familiar with this tool. Again, you get information directly from Google. So Daniel, that being said, obviously we have access to all kinds of tools. How do we fix this stuff? How do we organize ourselves around technical SEO?
Yeah, so right here, what you're looking at is a document that we use internally to bring all of this information together and organize who's going to be doing what. Again, like Chris said, you know, for me, it's really important to understand what needs to be fixed, but I don't necessarily know how to fix it because most of these things are going to be done by a developer or a coder, right? So what I do here is on this, and you guys, you'll have access to a template similar to this. There's 3 different systems that I'm bringing in here. So the first one, Search Console. So anything that has to do with Search Console, I am putting in here anything that is tagged as urgent. Again, same as SE ranking on Search Console, it'll give you warnings, it'll give you some advice, but the urgent stuff is the stuff that you need to put in here. Then there's an issue with, and this is again an example of a client, a real example. You know, we ran Google Speed Index for mobile, 29 out of 100, pretty bad, right? And then for SE rankings, again, I generated that report and I said urgent matters only. So, and then I come in here and I bring in all of the urgent matters in here. In this example, I'm kind of showing you guys as well what's a warning. And a warning, as you can see, is a lot more overwhelming because it keeps going down and down and down. But in most cases, I would just do the urgent items in here. The way I use this price sheet is, number one, how urgent it is. origin, what system provided us with this metric? And this is very important because who's going to be taking care of it, right? So anything that's a tech issue, it's going to be one of our developers. A lot of times clients have their own developers. So this is where we would say, okay, well, your developer can go in here and fix this. What is the issue that Google Search Console is picking up? Here's the name of the issue. How many times does this issue show up? 175. What is the status of it? Is it complete or not complete? And then on the link here, I have a screenshot of what that issue is, right? So what that allows us to do.
Oh, you probably,
yeah, it's right there. So what this allows us to do is to create this list to say, all right, now that we understand all of the items that need to be fixed, who's going to be working on them, and what is the status of these fixes, if they're complete or not complete. And that way, someone who's not very technical, like probably most of us on this call today, is able to understand the list of technical issues that need to be fixed and making sure that the people responsible for fixing those items are fixing them. How do I know that they actually fix, right? Because it's easy enough for a developer to come back to me and say, yep, that item is fixed. Well, we simply rerun the audit, right? So anything with Google Search Console, once they say something is fixed, we rerun the audit. And as soon as these items are cleared, we update them here and say complete. Same with SE ranking, same with Google Speed Index. So really my job is to do this initial audit, find out what the issue is, make sure that we get the right people working on the right items, and then rerunning the audit afterwards until we get all of these cleaned. And here we have two examples, right? We have, for example, BSM developers that are really working on the technical programming server-side stuff. And then we have our BSM SEO specialist. The SEO specialist on our end works with everything that has to do with content. So anytime that there's like titles or descriptions or duplicate content, anything that has to do with content, for example, identical titles, there's 70 pages with identical titles. I don't want to have a programmer go in here and do this, right? So we want to have someone that's really good at content, who's our SEO specialist, to go in here and create 70 different unique titles for these 70 different pages, and then go in there and update these in the pages. So again, this is how we can address different people that are going to be good to address those different items. And as the manager of the project or the owner of the website, this is a great template for you to use to be able to manage those fixes.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Here you have a template. You have access to the SEO Project Worksheet. Use something like that and you're welcome, edit this template as you see fit so that it makes sense for you and your team. But honestly, something simple like this will probably do. You may not be able to fix everything there's to fix, but as long as you address the most urgent stuff, I think you'll be in good shape.
One last piece of advice. Can you go to SEO ranking real quick? I just want to show one more thing that's super important. When you go to this download report, which is what I do to provide the programmers with the things that they need to do, again, I check on include errors only, but these two that are usually not checked, very important, which is include the issue description and the section description, but mostly the issue description, because what this is going to do is it's going to tell you what the description of that issue is, and it gives you exactly how to fix it. So when the programmer, whoever's going to be working on it, they have detailed explanations and instructions on how to fix each one of these errors as part of the report. So that's a very important check mark to check when you're creating this document to provide to someone to work on these issues for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is an awesome tool. This is probably the only tool that you'll need, a third-party tool, in addition to PageSpeed Insights and Search Console. All right, feel free to type in any questions as they relate to technical SEO. Otherwise, we're going to continue here with our presentation. All right, Daniel. Content is king. Is there SEO without content?
No, content is SEO nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're looking for, right? This is where I would say most everybody fails, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the big reasons is because content requirements for SEO have changed so much. over time, that nowadays what we do for content is very different than what we used to do 6 months, 12 months ago. And it's important to, change our tactics accordingly.
If you attended the first session, you'll probably remember us talking about the BERT, B-E-R-T, and the MON Google algorithm update. These two algorithm updates, they, in my opinion, have completely changed how SEO needs to be done nowadays. Luckily, and we covered that as well in last session, our own website got hit because we didn't pay attention. We didn't do our own SEO. Rightfully so, we got hit. It forced us to completely rethink how we do SEO here at Boulder SEO Marketing. And, it sucked, but I think it was the best thing that could have happened to us, right? Because we completely figured out how to do it now.
Yeah.
And we came up with these Micro-SEO strategies and other tactics and strategies that yield amazing results. That being said, let's talk about content, right? So content is king. Well, it's actually optimized content, all right? There is so much content out there. Sadly, a lot of it is terrible. So Google is currently de-indexing billions of pages of content that the search giant no longer deems useful to people out there. And so don't be necessarily alarmed if you see organic search traffic to your website go down, right? It's just like natural that Google is now de-indexing a lot of content, and you're basically losing search traffic that probably was not the best search traffic at the beginning. All right, and we'll talk about this more later here in this presentation. All right, content marketing, Daniel. So and we'll talk about the micro strategies in a second here. But so the old content marketing that was sort of focused on selling, very aggressive, in your face, kind of, hey, like, I'm the best, buy me here, do this. How do we do content marketing now? What's the tone, voice when we deploy a content marketing strategy?
Yeah, if you guys remember from the last session as well, we talked about EAT, right? Which has become one of the biggest ranking factors for Google, which means they want websites that are experts, authoritative, and trustworthy when it comes to a certain subject matter. So it really, the website content that we're looking at putting together nowadays is content that educates, that tells people that we are the true expert and we are the true experts in this specific subject matter. So it's really educational content that is the most important one to put out there nowadays.
Absolutely. All right. Then, as I just alluded to, indexing, right? These last two massive algorithm updates, they basically, Google is now de-indexing a ton of content on the web. Simply, they have admitted, look, indexing all this content and storing it on our servers around the globe, it's very expensive. So Google addressed this issue by simply de-indexing content that they no longer deem useful for people out there. You will get the link to these slides, so no need to write down these links here. But basically, I want to show you a very important section in Google Search Console, and I do recommend, check this section after this session to see how affected your website actually is by the de-indexing effort by Google. So I'm going to head over to Search Console. Let's take a look at the Chris Rolfe website. So under index coverage, click on excluded. All right, so check this out. Crawled, currently not indexed. What does that mean? Well, the Google bot actually discovered these pages on that website, but for some reason decided not to put it in its index. So check this out. These are two legit blog posts or articles that I wrote probably a long time ago. Why don't we take a look at this? All right, so Google actually crawled this page February 7th. That's not too long ago. Let's take a look, but it's not indexed in its database. All right, we actually see a lot of content that was developed about 4 years ago or so getting de-indexed. All right, this blog post was about an international SEO consultant. What is it? I mean, it's, it is, I have to say, a bit fluffy. So I'm a little bit offended that Google actually decided to de-index this piece, but it's also, it's telling me, hey, I need to update this, right? Probably things have changed. So I need to put in the effort to update this piece of content so that Google will index it again. There's a question. Let's quickly take a look at it. From Jennifer, like in your example, what if the page is still relevant? How do you get it re-indexed? All right, we're going to talk about that as part of the Micro-SEO Strategies. Well, it's a little bit different, but basically we see a lot of content. It's about 4 years old. Google doesn't like it anymore. What I would recommend, do a search for international SEO consultant. That's my target SEO keyword for this article here. Do an incognito search and see what is ranking at the top. This is, oh, that's another page. Look at that. We're still ranking for that keyword. She's really well known, Aleda. See what Google is ranking at the top of its search engines and see what you may have to update, right? So it's not a very easy answer to give, but it's basically thinking about, what does Google want to show to the target audience in relation to certain keywords?
Yeah, let me make a quick note on that real quick, because it's, on Chris's example here, we just saw 2 pages that were crawled but not indexed. A lot of times when we're doing this work for some of the clients that are coming in, I see hundreds of pages in there, and they usually fall into 2 categories. This category, which is something that used to rank before, but it's old and outdated, so they start indexing it. And there's a lot of really recent pages that were created, but just because it's very low quality, they immediately don't get indexed, right? And this is really an aha moment, because one of the things that I specifically say a lot is that, the way the SEO agencies used to do things before is having these packages of, depending on what level you're in, we could do 4 or 8 or 12 blog posts on a monthly basis. And what that really translates to is just quantity, not quality. And it's amazing when we actually go in here, you can see a lot of these pages that are being done just for quality or quantity, reasons. They immediately get not indexed through here. So the minute that you go through here and see the quality, the amount of pages that's in there, it really kind of shifts the focus that really quantity is not important anymore. It all comes down to the quality of the content. And that's, one of the reasons that we stay away from creating, 2, 5, 8 blog posts a month. That's not what content is all about anymore. It's really about creating that one piece of content that's really gonna, impress Google, and focusing a lot of efforts into that. We're going to go into that in a lot more detail.
Yeah, and then to answer your second question, yes, we're going to address that when we talk about Micro-SEO strategies. But yes, if I want this page to get re-indexed and to show up, at the top in Google for this keyword, I will have to go back to the drawing board. And, at some point, we'll probably optimize this website again, right? Absolutely. I think this article still has value, but we're going to have to do a lot of work to get it back to where it needs to be so that it can compete with what's currently up there in Google. So we would re-optimize this, rewrite it, and then put the new date on there, probably mention that, hey, initially published then, but we have since updated it so that Google understands what's going on. Yeah.
And then the last step is, once you do all of that and this new page is live, go to Google Search Console and request Google to re-index this page.
Yeah. So let me show you how that is done. So you basically come to the top here, the inspect any URL. If you plug the URL in here, hit enter, you basically are asking Google to re-indexing this page. If it's already on the crawled, currently not indexed, you know, I would say don't bother. But once you go through the effort of updating it, then go ahead and resubmit it so that it can get indexed. All right, let's carry on here. All right, crawled, currently not indexed. All right, then, so let's talk about content marketing, right? Now we know it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. So please, please, please don't just, you know, create content for the sake of creating content. Do it in a very well organized fashion with a purpose. Develop content that your audience actually wants to read, that encourages them to reach out to you because they now know that you're the expert in what you're doing. So let's take a look at our SEO project worksheet here. Right here. So first of all, have a content calendar. Something simple like this will do, where you have, right, every day of the year, website, you know, do you have major things to do with the website? This is a nice little dashboard, obviously a very simplified version of, you know, how an SEO agency works, but something like this will do. If you're doing this yourself, use something like this, right? Then, you know, have a calendar on, hey, I'm going to write a blog post, or I want to publish a blog post about XYZ, you know, on the 14th, all right? Or, hey, I'm going to do some customer case studies. Just schedule that stuff out. And then I like to do color coding, meaning, you know, red is like, you know, it's not even in the planning phase yet. Once I color coded yellow, it means that, hey, we actually have discussed it, it's in the works. And then when we publish it, green. So whatever works for you, but find a good strategy that you're actually able to execute. All right. And then just add more sections here, right? Content marketing can be blogs, case studies, articles, white papers, infographics, like anything that communicates something to your target audience. I would say consider that content. All right. Then also I get asked to speak a lot at the online events, in person again. Write this stuff down, because then you can do a press release, right? I just got invited to speak next month, an online event. You know, we'll plug it in here, speaking engagement, and then heck yeah, we're going to do a press release around that speaking engagement, right? So you get the point. You have everything in one place, and then you can also coordinate your email marketing efforts around your content marketing strategy.
Yeah, and just an interesting note here. So I usually do onboarding of new clients, and I work with them on really kind of understanding all of this. And it's interesting because when we get to the events, I asked, you know, what speaking engagements, what conferences, what trade shows are you doing now? And half of the time I asked, well, why do you want to know? It's not really part of SEO. It is a huge part of SEO, because remember, one of the things that we're trying to do is set you up, the business owner, up as the expert, the authoritative voice. And how do we do that? Well, creating content is great, but if you're doing speaking engagements, if you're going to conferences, if you're teaching webinars, that is the stuff that we really want to be able to leverage to explain to Google and to teach Google that, yes, this person is not just creating blog content, they're out there in the market, really in the position of an expert. So that is super important. So when I go through this exercise, I go, what events are you doing? What speaking conferences? And we put them in there. And like Chris said, those get, used in the PR that we do, in the email marketing that's going to get done, repurposed in a lot of the website content. And if they have nothing to put under the events, well, then we start having a conversation. What kind of items or things that you can start doing? Where can you speak? What conferences can you go to? Because adding elements to that is just going to increase your EAT score tremendously.
I know, and it's so sad. So many companies don't have a marketing communications calendar, right?
I know.
Yeah. Okay, Felicia, how to incorporate event speaking engagement in the website? Well, that's actually a really good question. So make sure you do have, I mean, we do a lot of trainings, right? We have these 3 flagship trainings, the 3-part course that you're attending right now, the intro to SEO webinar, and then an international SEO webinar. Why not have a little events page, something like this, where you summarize, hey, this is upcoming events, this is what people are saying about our trainings, put some video testimonials on there. And then, time permitting, I used to do, personalized trainings, that people fly me all over the world to teach a team how to do SEO. Just have a page like this, right, where you list your upcoming events. You can even add your external speaking engagements, but something like this will do. I hope that answers your question, Felicia. Cool. Then content ideas. Okay, let's see. Perfect. Content ideas. Meet with your team, or if you're the team, maybe once a month. Think about what you want to write about. How does it fit into your overall, in your business's marketing efforts? Think about where you're going to speak, what you want to do, but do it in an organized fashion. And then simply write it down, right? Okay, I want to do a press release. This is like a brainstorming session. Okay, let's do a press release. This could be the topic, potential title. Hey, we're gonna want to promote this service or product with this press release. Then super brief outline, right? Obviously, we have writers on staff. We make sure that eventually, when we ask them to write something, they get a very detailed content brief. And we're going to take a look at that in a little bit here. Then also, as we covered in the first session, each and every piece of content on your website needs to be optimized for 3 target SEO keywords. Grab them from your target SEO keywords list. Then when do you want to publish this piece of content, and who's leading the effort, and then, notes, whatever. Feel free to edit this template as you see fit so that it makes sense for your business. But again, something simple like this will do. Then content creation. This is the template that we're going to take a look at. In this case, it's a blog post content development tips and best practices template. You do have access to this template. So actually I teach part of a master's degree for a university in Europe. I teach that online. This is what I make my students do. This is their assignment, right? They have to follow these instructions at the end of the day, and then write a search engine optimized blog post. You can absolutely use this template as well. Let's quickly dissect this template. All right, here we go. All right. First of all, think about who's your target audience, right, for this piece of content. We spoke about buyer persona development at the beginning of this course. Okay, just assign each piece of content to one of your buyer personas, so we know exactly who we're targeting with this particular piece of content. This is a little bit more advanced and old school marketing, the AIDA stage. Attention, interest, desire, action, right? For what stage is this piece of content applicable? Then, Daniel, which higher level page do we want to support with this blog post? And we'll show the cruise supply example, yeah, where we have a very clear call to action, a higher level page that we will send more traffic to. Then we covered meta tags in the first session. So just follow these best practices. Each and every page on your website needs to have optimized meta tags. Then use your most important keyword in your URL. Avoid extended characters such as umlauts, etc. Then blog post. I would say 400 words. That's probably going to end up in the crawled but not indexed section in Search Console. So I would say if you're doing a blog post, I would even nowadays, I would say, gosh, 600 to 1,000 words, right?
I agree.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a Facebook post. Then try to include the most important keyword in the first few paragraphs, and then the other two primary target SEO keywords throughout the content. Hyperlink to an applicable internal page. Try to limit internal hyperlinks to about 1 per 100 words. And then include at least one high quality external link, meaning you're linking out to another website outside of your website. And then place keywords in header 1s, header 2s, header 3s. Google admitted they place close attention to what's in those H1s, H2s, H3s. And then please do not forget to include a call to action, link to a products or services page, download a something, request a quote, just anything that keeps your audience on your website. And then I showed that before. If you wanted this piece of content to be indexed in Google, submit it through Google Search Console, the URL inspection tool, apply schema. We're going to talk about schema later on, or Google markup, but this is basically a little handy checklist that you can put to work for you right away.
Yeah, and just one comment, the 500 to 600 words recommendation, that's very open-ended, because depending on the website, depending on the industry, depending on the keyword, that's going to be different. So a trick that we use, let's say that you're going for a specific keyword, pink lemonade, right? And you want to write a blog post around pink lemonade. What we do is we actually search for pink lemonade, and we see the top 3, 4, 5 positions that are ranking on top of Google. And if all of them have 1,000, 1,200 words, you know that Google is looking for at least that amount of words in a blog post to be able to rank you up high. So then you can use that as kind of a benchmark to how big that specific piece of content should be. So again, it changes, and that's really a good trick to use to give you an idea of what you should be putting in terms of words.
Exactly. All right. Woo. All right, let's see what time it is. Perfect. All right, so this is probably one of the most important things that we're going to cover in this training, Micro-SEO Strategies. We actually trademarked that term because it is a game changer, 100%. I get requests now to talk about this from conferences around the globe. It truly is a game changer. I think it has caught on. I'm super proud that we came up with this strategy. It is the new name of the SEO game, and it is not rocket science. All right. We're going to explain to you exactly how this stuff works. So please pay close attention and do not hesitate to ask questions. All right. This is an example of a micro SEO. I think it was the first micro SEO strategy that we deployed after we redid our methodology. Daniel, just real quick, what did this page look like before we implemented the strategy?
It was a very short blog post with no images and very little content, which surprisingly was ranking all right, but not enough to be to the top of the page, you know, page 1. I think it was in position page 2 or page 3 of Google, but it was a very simple, just content heavy blog post before we actually worked on it.
Yeah, so it ranked for the keyword pour spouts, I think on page 2 or 3. So we built a micro SEO strategy around this page, and we'll explain exactly how to do it. All right, so now if you do a search for any kind of pour spouts related keywords, this page either ranks at the top or, you know, in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 organic search results. All right, let me take a step back. Daniel, a website or a page needs to have thousands of backlinks, right, to rank at the top in Google.
Not anymore.
All right, it is all about high quality when it comes to Google. All right, so if somebody's trying to sell you SEO and they're telling you that you need all these backlinks, you know what, do not believe it. This page only has 8 backlinks. They're high quality, right? We built as part of the micro SEO strategy, we actually got them high quality backlinks, right? But we didn't need to get 1,000 backlinks. So it's all about high quality when it comes to SEO. This page is now ranking for nearly 600 pour spouts related keywords. Check this out. Even for really high search volume, this is monthly search volume keywords, right at the top in Google. And this, you know, proof is in the pudding, right? This is when we launched the micro SEO strategy. This page is getting more and more and more and more clicks on a monthly basis. It is making these guys a lot of money. It's a very happy customers. And we're now replicating this strategy because we completely figured out how to do it. And we're happy to share how to do it. All right. Let's do it. Daniel, so first, let's take a step back. When we talk with a potential customer, we need to evaluate many things, right? Are they actually a good fit for us? Are we a good fit for them? Based on what are we making a decision if A, we're a good fit for each other, and B, we can actually deploy a micro SEO strategy.
Correct. So what you're looking at here is essentially each one of these little boxes is a certain aspect of SEO that needs to be considered. And the reason that we have this is because anytime that we're doing the onboarding of a new client, it's important to make sure that we're looking at all of these things so we don't overlook certain aspects. For example, if you know, a website needs to work on improving the domain authority, well, there's certain actions that we need to do that are focused on that. So what we do is when we onboard, we look at each one of these squares and see how the actual website kind of scores and how important each one of these are. So we can make sure to look at the whole picture before we say, okay, based on what we see, based on the competition, based on where you are today, we need to prioritize our activities, right? Because it's impossible to address everything at once. So once we have that big picture, we say, okay, I think the best traction that we're going to get over the next 3 to 4 months, it's going to be focusing on X, Y, Z. And the reason that we use this framework is to make sure that we look at every single aspect before making a decision in terms of which ones we need to focus on first.
Exactly. All right. Then we, so once that is in the box, we need to identify low-hanging fruit opportunities where we can build a micro SEO strategy around. Let me give you an example here. So why don't we take the Boulder SEO marketing website. All right, so I plug that into competitive research, domain, Boulder SEO marketing. So this page that you're seeing here, we actually did build a micro SEO strategy around this page. It had a lot less traffic before we did that. It is now the best performing page on our website. And I'll walk you through the process that we implemented. But basically this page, we noticed that, was getting decent traffic. So we, I wanted to see what kind of keywords was this page already ranking for. Okay, what you see now, obviously those are the results after implementing the micro SEO strategy. But we noticed, it ranked for Denver SEO company. I think we were at position 10 or 11. So it was already ranking well for keywords related to, Denver SEO, SEO agency, Denver, etc., etc. All right. So what did we do? Let me get back to the slides and then I'll come back here. So this is how you identify your low-hanging fruit keyword opportunities where you could build a micro SEO strategy around. All right. And then last but not least, SEO design, right? So now we have identified a page where we want to build a micro SEO strategy around. It's going to require us to completely redo that page. And then we're going to get to that slide again. Okay. But basically, this is where your, brainstorming comes to play, where you need to sit down we usually sit down with our clients, where we dissect, this page, and we basically come up with a plan. Look, hey, let's whiteboard everything. This is what we need to do in order to beat what's currently at the top in Google.
Correct.
All right, and we'll get back to that SEO design page. All right, let's okay. Optimize. So why are we doing these micro SEO strategies? Daniel, how long does it take to optimize an entire website?
Very long time.
we're gonna get fired, right?
Yes.
If we tell somebody, hey, we're gonna optimize your website, and people don't see results within the 3, 4, 5 months, they're gonna fire the SEO agency. We don't want that, right? That's a waste of time and money for everybody. So this is why we're looking for these low-hanging fruit opportunities, because Google is now ranking certain sections on your website or even certain pages on your website. That goes back to the BERT and MOM algorithm update, right? So this takes a lot less time, and we're usually able to show our customers pretty amazing results within a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah, the way I describe it to a lot of people, especially the team in here, is that the old way is more of a shotgun approach, right? Where you're optimizing all of the keywords, you're randomly putting blog posts up, you're doing stuff that, it's spread out through the site. And the new approach, which is the MicroStrategy approach, what I call more of a sniper, is selecting one great opportunity and laser focusing all of our efforts for 2 or 3 months on that opportunity. And that's really kind of the shift, in terms of how we address SEO. And it's really what we see working nowadays.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the old SEO is like desperately trying to get the website optimized for all these keywords and then, see what sticks at some point. No longer works. All right. So let's dissect the micro SEO strategy. I just completed this template here. It has multiple tabs. I'm sharing this with you guys. Please do take advantage of this template. I put a lot of thought and time into creating it. So let's dive right into how to create a micro SEO strategy. All right. So This is the Denver SEO page that before we completely micro SEO strategize this page, it looked completely different, right? I think I initially put that up about 5-6 years ago. I'm not a web designer. It looked terrible. I mean, honestly, it was terrible. So Daniel, what did we do?
Well, we turned it into a very informative page that not only talks about just what services we offer, but other things that are important to understand about Denver SEO. So, we talked about the history of it. We talked about the different services. We added in there testimonials. We did some, I think, frequently asked questions. So now, in addition to being just the page that talks about that Denver SEO, it really goes into a lot more depth. One thing that's really important about MicroStrategies, and specifically when you're talking about a location-based page like this one is on the bottom of the page, which we have here as well, is linking it to the Google search Google business profile page, right? Because that's one real good way to tell Google, hey, in addition to having this local page, we are truly a local business. And one way to do that is really optimizing the Google business profile page. So as you saw, this page went from, a 1 or 2 paragraph page talking about that we are a Denver to a real in-depth cross page talking about the people that are involved, what kind of expertise is being brought to this company, tools that people can use to run an audit, and these are free tools. So we're not just selling, we're not just talking about who we are, we're actually giving people valuable information on how to become better, more educated shoppers when they're actually looking for an SEO company in Denver.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at let's set up a micro strategy here. Okay, so first of all, you need to identify a page, as we just did in SE ranking, right? That is getting traction, already on, page number 2, 3 for certain keywords. Then think about what's the general messaging of that page, right? Have an idea what the communication is going to be like that we want to convey to the people landing on this page. Something simple like this will do. Then come up with about 3 goals, right? Okay, we want to rank number 1 in the local map pack for the main and secondary target keywords. Then we also want to be at the top in the text-based organic positions for the target keywords. Then we notice that a lot of directories are listed in relation to the target SEO keywords that we're going to optimize this page for. So we also want to show up in those directories, right? So 3 achievable goals. Desired outcome. Okay, we want to boost lead generation from this page. That's it, And I can tell you, the desired outcome, it has been overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this completely changed the game. All right, then let's take a look at the keywords, and I have an example here. So basically, download from SE ranking the keywords that this page is ranking for, the monthly search volume, and your position in the Google Serps. And then we also looked at, how did we rank in the Google business profile, the local map pack. So check this out. Denver SEO company. I think in the local map pack, we're now, oh boy, number 5. We still have some work to do. Okay, however, ta-da, number 1, we are the first organic text-based listing here, right? So these were, after we downloaded the keywords from SE ranking, plugged them into here, we decided, look, this is going to be our main target SEO keyword, mission achieved. That page is now number 1 in Google. Okay, Denver SEO agency, that's the also a primary keyword. SEO Services Denver. Okay, those are the 3 main keywords.
And that text position was when we started, right?
Yeah, that's when we started, right?
Okay.
So now, so we were position 11. Let's see what we're now for this keyword. Oh boy, so I have a little bit of work to do. But you get the point, right? I mean, this is all going up. So we're doing really well with this page. So we have 3 primary keywords and then 3 primary secondary keywords. So if we can be number 1 for all of these keywords, I'd be super happy. Then we did a Serp analysis, right? What is Google displaying in addition to, you know, is there a local map pack? Okay, this means we need to create an optimized Google business profile. People also ask, right? This, we can build a SEO strategy around that. Okay, just take a look what's going on this page, right? Because then we can properly optimize for these keywords. And then we have, you know, additional secondary keywords that we also want to include in content that we're going to build, you know, to promote this page. All right. Then we also looked at, in relation to this keyword, Denver SEO company. Actually, let's take a look. Are there any directories that Google is displaying? Let's take a look. Clutch, that's the directory, right? So you can add your business to this directory. Usually these directories are free. You can do promoted listings if you want to pay for that. Let's see, UpCity, that's another directory, right? I think, yep. So just figure out what's going on and then write this stuff down and then make sure that somebody adds your business to these directories. So this is basically how we decided, hey, these are the keywords that we want to optimize for. This is what's going on Google, page number 1, so that we can achieve our goal. So here we go. You have this template. Give it a try. This is actually a lot of fun. I bet you're going to see results if you're going to take a good stab at this. Then there's a lot of tabs here. People also ask questions, you know, write down what questions are showing up for what keyword. Sometimes there's, oh, we want to add frequently asked questions to pages. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Then, you know, think about internal linking opportunities. Are there other pages on your website where you could add a link to this Micro-SEO Strategy page? Then referring domains to this page. I already downloaded. Here we go, from SE Ranking. What domains are actually linking back to this page here? So all you have to do, just, oops, pay special, values only. Here we go. You know, it's great information because you can do the same things about all the backlinks, including your competitors, right? So write down who are the 3, 4, 5 companies that you need to beat and take a look at their backlink profile, okay? Are there any backlink, high quality backlink opportunities where your competitor is getting backlinks from? Maybe a really interesting opportunity for you to reach out to these websites and say, hey, is there any way that you can link back to my website? All right, let's come back here to our dashboard. All right, then we'll talk about SEO design here in a little bit. Rewrite and optimize content. We'll talk about this as well when we get to that slide. You're going to have to write a optimized title tag for this page, a description tag. We covered that in the first session. Make sure if there are images on that page, you have image alt tag content. This links back to the tabs here, internal linking, people also ask, etc. Fix all technical issues, right? Run a tech audit, an SE ranking tech audit on just that page if you don't have time to fix all the issues on your website. These are things that we'll discuss tomorrow. We're going to talk about schema, backlink strategy. We'll take a look at Google business profiles, etc., etc. So do not fear. We're going to come back here to these tasks that need to be done as part of a micro SEO strategy. All right. So now we know the keywords that we want to dominate. Now let's talk about SEO design. All right, Daniel, what are we seeing here?
So we're actually internally working on our own next micro strategy page, which I think is the SEO packages. And the SEO packages, again, like Chris said, we did our own research and we found it to be a very good opportunity. Why? Because it's a really important keyword for us. It's a keyword that has really great search metrics. It's a keyword that has really high intent. We're ranking, I think, somewhere in page 2 for, but the page doesn't look very good. You know, it's okay content. So we're saying, all right, let's focus on this micro strategy. So what do we do? Well, the first thing we do is we search on Google for the keyword that we're going for. So SEO packages. And we open up the 10 top websites that are showing up there. And then we go through every one of the sites and really make a list, which is what you see on the right side of the whiteboard, a list of every element that's included in each one of these pages. So for example, you'll see on the right side, case study. Another one is an overview. Another one is frequently asked questions. And we create a list of what all of these other sites are showcasing on there, in addition to things that maybe we don't see, but we want to include in there because we just think it's going to be important to be part of this page. So once we actually create this list of all of the elements that would turn this page into really the ultimate resource, right? Because the idea behind is not, we don't want to create a page that's just about selling our SEO packages, right? We want to rank #1 in Google because Google wants to show people searching for SEO packages a page of real good resource and information to help people better understand what SEO packages are and better understand, how to make a decision. So on the left-hand side, what we do is then we create a wireframe and we say, how do we best create a page that will include all of these elements that we outline on the right-hand side, but still don't make it so heavy in terms of content and boring and so forth. So this is where the SEO design comes in mind. How can we create a page that makes all of this content very digestible, very easy to read? How do we tell a story, right? It's important that when you go from top to bottom of this page, people are kind of going through a journey. For example, I'll walk you through like the first 3 or 4 items on this page here. So for example, the first thing is SEO packages, little introduction on what this page is all about. And on the right-hand side, right above the fold, a call to action. Are you interested in looking at our call to SEO packages? We'll set up a time and we can chat. Very important. We'll talk about call to actions a little bit later. But then, whoops, sorry. And then right below that, I'm going to talk about an informational editorial piece. I'm linking back to an outside website that did a study on what do SEO packages cost in the United States today. And I think they cost, the average range is anywhere between $2,500 to $7,000 or somewhere in that range. This, again, it's not talking about us. It's linking out to a really high DA website that has done this research and saying this is what it's all about. Then when we move down, we talk about our packages. Where do our packages fit? Well, our packages happen to be 2, 3, and 4, right? That, again, telling the story, right? I did some research out there. The industry is this. This is how we position ourselves. Again, if you go down under the CTA right here, you're going to see if you're looking for an agency or if you're looking for a company to help you with SEO, what are 3 things that you really need to look for in that agency? And what are 3 things that you really need to avoid? when you are out there looking for. So you see what I'm doing here. We're not just trying to sell our services. What we're trying to create here is really a truthful, informational piece, trying to educate people in terms of SEO packages. What are they, what to look for, and how to make the best decision to choose the agency that's going to be the best fit for you.
Yeah. So as you can see, there is no magic switch just to turn on your SEO. This is actually, it takes time, resources, and know-how, right? And a lot of people are going to work on this page, right? We have our writers, we brief them. I think they were actually in the meeting. It's like, hey, these are the keywords, this is how we want to write about it, this is how many words we need, etc. Right? So now I think she just sent the content. Now you're going to work with the design team,
Correct.
right, to put this together. And then we need the web team to put it all together, make it a presentable web page. This is a process, and usually a micro SEO strategy from, hey, let's think about what we want to do, to, hey, let's launch this page. Well, what do you think?
Going through this process of creating and launching the page, we're looking at probably 30 to 45 days. And then actually seeing results from this new page, usually within 2 to 3 months, we're seeing considerable increases on the metrics for that specific page.
Yeah.
On that note, this process that we're showing here is exactly what we did for that pour spouts, right? The pour spouts page that you see today came from a whiteboard exercise that looked very similar to the one we're looking at right now.
Yeah. All right. We'll get back to the nitty-gritty of those micro SEO strategy tasks tomorrow. For now, these are the key components of a micro SEO strategy. You do need the micro SEO strategy main page, which usually is it's often a blog post, right? Article, etc. You need, it may also include a moneymaker page, a product, a service page where we want to send people to convert, right? And then we're going to create supporting content such as press releases, blog posts, case studies, white papers to build an internal linking structure so that we can educate Google about, hey, these are the keywords that we want to rank for, and hey, this is the most important page that we're linking to. All right. Daniel, we have a little bit of time left here to talk about conversion rate optimization. So now that we're getting the right people to the right page, to the right keywords, what is very important to do?
And I have very little time to talk about one of the things that I love the most, which is conversion rate optimization. Why? Because SEO, very, very important. This is what we're here to talk about. And we all understand the importance of having SEO traffic coming into the website. But it is not everything. Why is that? Well, if you look at the graph here, we have SEO traffic coming into the website, not just SEO traffic. We can have social traffic, pay-per-click traffic, direct traffic, linking traffic. There's all kinds of people coming into the website. But what happens to that traffic when they come to the website? What is the bounce rate? Do you guys know what the bounce rate of your website is? If you don't, go to Google Analytics and look at the bounce rate. It's amazing the number of sites that we look at that have a bounce rate of 60, 70%. Think about that. A bounce rate is a person that actually went to your homepage or whatever page they're landing on, looked at it and turned right back around and said, nope, this is not the site for me. 70% of your traffic is turning away. That is terrible. Website engagement. How many people are actually engaging and how many people are actually converting? And that is such a very important part of the whole bigger picture because yes, generating new traffic to the website is very important. And if we don't look at the bottom of the funnel, which is how is that traffic converting into sales or new clients? If we have clients that we're generating a lot more traffic to, but at the end of the day, they're not getting more business out of it, we're going to lose that client. And that's why it's important to take a look at the entire user journey into the website. And that's where conversion rate optimization becomes so important. Let me give you a quick example to illustrate why conversion rate optimization is so important. let's say that we have a website that has 10,000 visitors a month, right? And they have a bounce rate 60%, which is pretty high. That means that from those 10,000 visitors, we have 4,000 visitors that actually enter the website. And let's say that they have a conversion rate of 1%. Well, we converted 40 leads from those 4,000 people that entered the website. If we want to double the number of leads that we bring into the website only with SEO, it means we need to double the number of visitors to the traffic. So all of a sudden, instead of getting 10,000 qualified visitors to the website, we need to have 19,000 qualified visitors to the website. And we all know that to double the traffic of the website is doable, but it's very much a longer term goal. Now, let's look at conversion rate optimization. How can we do that? Same 10,000 visitors a month. We're not increasing the number of visitors, but we made changes on the website to decrease the bounce rate from 60% to 50%. Very doable. Now we have 5,000 people that are actually going into the website. And let's say that we make some changes on the website and we're able to increase our conversion from 1% to 1.5%. Now we are generating 75 leads with the exact same 10,000 visitors a month. And the crazy thing is, to do these conversion rate optimization exercises to decrease the bounce rate and increase the conversion rate are things that happen pretty fast. We can do this in 2, 3, 4 months. Now, the real golden ticket happens when we're both increasing the website traffic by generating more visitors through SEO and at the same time implementing conversion rate optimization to reduce bounce rate, to increase conversion rate. Then the number of conversions that we get at the bottom of the funnel really increase at a much higher rate. So how does A/B testing work? Well, A/B testing is essentially an exercise of doing 2 versions of a page and testing A against B. So let's say that we have a homepage and we say, geez, there's something wrong about this homepage. There's a huge bounce rate. We create a second version of it. And then we use systems, and there's a whole bunch of different softwares that we can use. Google actually has a very good one that actually splits the visitors and sends half of the visitors to option A and half of the visitors to option B. So at the end of 2, 3 weeks, we can look at the metrics and say, wow, option A is much better because the bounce rate is 17 instead of 25%. It's that thing that a lot of people come to me and they say, what do you think is going to work better on my homepage? A picture of a mother holding a baby or a picture of a puppy? I don't know. But if we run an A/B test, and after running, enough traffic to get metrics in there, we know for a fact at that point which one of the images works well. That's why conversion rate optimization is so important, right? So when you're running your conversion rate optimization, there's 4 simple steps, right? Number 1, looking at where is the problem. Usually you're looking at Google Analytics and you're looking for these big red flags, bounce rates, exit pages is a big one, right? Figuring out where the issue is. Once you find out where the issue is, number 2 is, what is the goal? What do we want that page to do that it's not doing now? And then number 3, that's my favorite part, what is the hypothesis? You look at that page and you say, why is there such a big issue? Let's say the bounce rate, right? A lot of times, and by the way, every one of you should look at your own homepage. Do you have a strong call to action above the fold? That is the first thing that we're going to test for. And then we're going to create a version of that page with a call to action on above the fold, and then run the conversion rate optimization test. Here's a simple example, right? Let's say that this was our old website in the past, and we looked at A, and we're seeing the bounce rate that's super high. I can tell you that one of the issues is there's not a call to action on there. So if we create a second version of it and run an A/B test with a version that has a call to action, again, we're going to see that the variable with the call to action, again, this is an example, right? We would see that the bounce rate would change and would increase the number of people coming into the website. So what do we do at that point? We get rid of A, we implement version B, or the better performing version, as the page on the website, and then we move on to another test. And that way you repeat tests, and over time, you're really increasing, the conversion of the site in different areas of the site that need the most help at that point.
Woohoo! All right, and we do have a little bit of time for recap and Q&A. That being said, I'm going to stop share here. Oh, sorry, let me quickly cover what we're going to take a look at next session, which is this Thursday. So we'll take a look at Google Search Console, the ultimate tool where you get direct information from Google. Then we're going to dig deeper with Micro-SEO Strategy specific tasks. Then backlink strategies. Again, it's not quantity, it's the quality, right? And then my favorite topic, off-page optimization, anything that happens outside of Google. Social media for SEO. Sadly, social media has to be part of your strategy. I could live without social media, but it needs to be part of your overall strategy. And then we'll do a recap, conclusion, and Q&A. Then we're done here. That being said, I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, sorry. No, we want to do stop sharing here. And we're going to turn on. Where's my... Oh boy, where is my camera?
Close that.
Oh, close that. All right, there we go. All right. There we go. Questions. There we go. All right, you've been saying tomorrow's the next session. Oh, sorry, Thursday. Yes, gosh, I'm already thinking ahead. So it's the next session is on Thursday. Any questions that we can answer right now? Let's see. No questions. Daniel, we've been very thorough.
I know.
I think everybody stayed on. Very cool. All right. I know it's a lot of information. I do hope it's useful information. We have one more session on Thursday. Yeah, we're going to cover pretty important information in that session too. Don't hesitate to reach out with any urgent questions that you have. Let me see from LG. There we go. Should we aim to have, let me see, should we aim to have images indexed? I see lots of them in the crawled, not in the, yeah. I mean, if you think they're going to get into the images search section on Google, absolutely. Yeah. Images can actually drive quite a bit of traffic to the website. So you may even want to set up a image sitemap. Yeah. How to do A/B testing? I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's everything that I said is really the process that you go through to create these tests. And then there's some good testing softwares out there. I think one of the biggest ones out there is called Optimizely. And then Google actually has a very good one as well, which you can search for Google Optimize or Google A/B testing, and it'll take you to the Google platform. So I think between both of those, you should have a platform that's a perfect fit for you to be able to run these A/B tests.
Yeah. Anything else before we wrap it up here and regroup in a couple of days? All right. Oh, let me see, Claudio. Why is there such a huge difference on keyword search volume between different tools? SE ranking, age, or it depends on where they pull the data from. It could also be that you're looking at different English-speaking markets potentially. I do know, I mean, there's naturally a discrepancy if the data is not coming directly from Google. So that's basically the explanation that I have. SE ranking is pretty darn accurate. But of course, if you want to get data directly from Google, go over to Google's keyword planner tool. So it depends what database they're pulling the search volumes from. I hope that answers your question. Cool. But I found SE ranking is pretty accurate. All right, Mary, we have a new section on our site. Would you recommend making more blog posts out of this instead of links? Let me see. Would you recommend making more blog posts out of this instead of links? Oh, I see. Why don't, let me quickly take a look at, so it looks, yeah, I think you probably have just links there. Yes, I mean, the more context you provide to Google, the more, you know, relevant information, I think the better that page will potentially perform. So yes, to answer your question, yes. Cool. And then tomorrow we'll talk about off-page optimization. Oh my God. Thursday, which also includes press releases, anything that we can do outside of our website. Of course, we're going to publish our press releases on our website, but also outside of our website. All right. I just want to thanks to you for your time. As a one-person business, this course is super helpful. Super happy to hear that. Not everybody can afford us, unfortunately. So I hope those of you that want to tackle this yourself, I hope you do get a lot of value out of this course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent. All right, I think we have about run out of time here. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday. Bye. I'm going to stop the recording.